All right, welcome Twitch chat and YouTube to the beginning of my coverage of my ManaTraders Qualifier matches. So basically the way this works is to play the Vintage Swiss at the end of the month, you need to have a 70% win rate over at least 10 matches, or a 65% win rate over at least 20 matches, or a 60% win rate over 30 matches. If at any point you reach one of these metrics, you qualify for the Swiss tournament at the end of the month. So yeah, I expect to record all of my matches for the ManaTraders and put them up on YouTube just like I did in January. And I don't expect to play the same deck over all the matches. We'll probably switch it up a little bit depending on what we, what we're feeling, what we're gonna play. The deck I'm gonna start with is a PO variant. I got some ideas from looking at the latest Pete Ward Fanoop tech, and I've been trying out Dress Down, which is an interesting card. It's an enchantment, so you can technically pick it up with PO. It draws cards, which I like a lot. And it also answers a lot of problematic creatures. It answers Collector Roof, it answers Leovold, it answers all kinds of things. So sometimes you can pick it up with your PO, sometimes you don't. I have a very nice screenshot on Twitter from today where I turn off a Collector Roof and then proceed to murder my opponent, which is always fun. Boom. That's the screenshot. End of turn, Dress Down, turn off the Collector Roof, untap. Opponent is very, very dead. So, playing mostly islands lets you, one, be very resilient to Wasteland, and two means you kind of, are constrained on what kind of cards from other colors you can play in your deck. You were only splashing black for the powerful 3 cards that most PO decks splash black for, but I do have a sideboard Toxic Deluge just because I think it might still be strong. But then we're playing pretty much a normal PO shell. Our win conditions in this deck are only Karn, Lattice Lock, or double activation of Citadel using Yawgmoth's Will. Those are the only win cons in the deck, so we're playing extremely low number of win cons because I don't think you really need to. When you draw your whole deck with PO, it usually shouldn't matter. Besides that, there's like some techie stuff in here. I'm playing a Remora, a Hercules, a Narset, a Repeal. But the main thing is that I'm filling out my flex slots with Dress Down, which acts as a removal spell and a cantrip and a permanent. I haven't played with it too much, so I don't know all the ins and outs. But I am excited to try to learn them. You will notice this deck has 0 Urza Saga in it because I am kind of off of Urza Saga in PO. I haven't found it to be particularly strong. I found it to be a liability quite a lot. And I just really didn't want to include it in my deck. So I'm trying decks of different PO variants that don't have Urza Saga in it. One thing that Dress Down is nice against is it's really good against other Urza Saga. Turning constructs into nothingness is definitely a powerful interaction to keep in mind. In the sideboard, some of your normal Graveyard Hate, Lattice for your Karn, both of the different kinds of Tinker targets. So depending on what deck you're playing against, you can have either a Sphinx or a Blightsteel. So Blightsteel for like Blightsteel for shops, and Sphinx for bug. Also, you have Deluge for creature decks, Flusterstorm for Doomsday, Echoing Truth as a catch-all, Hercules for shops, and Hullbreacher for those pesky blue decks of many, many varieties. So, not maxing out on basics, but a large number of basics to try to play around the Wasteland metagame, and Dress Down is our catch-all answer. We'll see how this goes. Maybe we'll have to change it up in between games. The Snapcaster looks a little silly if there are too many Dress Downs, but we'll see how it plans out. It might end up being that they don't actually conflict with each other too much, and this might actually end up being fine. Welcome to the very first match of our Vintage ManaTraders Qualifiers for August of 2021. We're up against Chris Carnage. I know they've had some shops recently, but they have a little bit of a range, so let's see what they're playing. This hand looks very keepable to me. It obviously, obviously, it's a little dangerous, but it has the powerful payoff cards that I'm looking for, and also has force. So I'm gonna keep this hand. Any land off the top is Tinker with force backup. No land off the top or no Moxen off the top is Merchant Scroll for Ancestral or Merchant Scroll for Force. So there's a lot of options here. It's greedy, but it has the upside. It is shops though, so we basically only have one turn to do the thing. Oh, Ravager I don't give a shit about. That's fine. Second is a sphere, I will counter it. Yeah. Alright, so now we have to see if we draw a land or a Mox, we tinker them. Boom, land. Alright. Tinker. We could also Merchant Scroll for Ancestral, but I would rather just put a Citadel into play and see how it goes. Alright. Make sure I hold priority in between spells. So I can cast all those things at instant speed. Land, Mox. Shuffle that away. Get an Ancestral. Could also Mystical Tutor for Time Walk. It's actually probably better. I'm just gonna go get a Mystical Tutor. Get a Mystical Tutor. I'm gonna put a Time Walk on the top of my library. Cast Time Walk. I missed on another land. I'll go to my next turn. Draw. Snappy boy. Alright, I think I'll just snap a Time Walk then. You 4, 3. I guess I shouldn't really brainstorm. There's kind of no reason to, right? I have to draw it through this anyways. All right, let's still have Time Walk in our back pocket, but we should also have Demonic for Mentor. Oh, I don't have Mentor in my deck. Right. I have to win with Karn, right? I forgot. Let's just keep POing then. It's weird not playing with Mentor. That is definitely true. It is definitely weird not playing with Mentor. Maybe I should put a snap in play. Let's just PO again first. I guess I should probably watch my clock with this version of the deck, just because there's so little ways to win. But looks like we have Lattice Lock here, so no problem here. Let's just Time Walk for a good measure, and then Karn. Mycosynth Lattice, and we got it. Yep. This is kind of what I'm saying though. Like, if you draw your deck with PO or like Tinker or Citadel out, it shouldn't really matter how you win. All right, and then now we're post board, so I'm gonna definitely bring in a Blightsteel. I might still keep Citadel. No, probably not. Probably not necessary. I might just keep only Blightsteel. Deluge might be good. Hurkyl's obviously great. I think I'm gonna take this Echoing Truth as well. We're gonna definitely board out Fluster, Remora on the draw, Misstep, Dress Down, probably some number of these Dress Downs. Maybe we will keep in Citadel. Just have both options. So basically Karn gets it on Mycosynth Lattice, and then you put the Mycosynth Lattice in play, and it means they can't tap for mana because all the lands are artifacts, and none of the artifacts can activate their abilities. And then eventually, like, we can we don't even need to get a Blightsteel, Aether Blight. You can just stand up your Mycosynth Lattice and attack a couple times. No worries, Lee. Thanks for stopping by. I mean, I still have a bunch of cards that I don't really want. Like, I don't really want Probe. Maybe we could take it in some blockers or something. I don't really know if that's really necessary. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Yeah, I mean, we kind of have more cards to board out than we want to keep in, but maybe we can bring in Needle. That's probably better than like some number of these dress downs. Or maybe I don't actually mind Narset. It's a little hard to cast Narset, but I don't mind it because it's like guaranteed action. This looks fine. Submit this. I mean, I boarded out a lot of them, right? I boarded out 3 of them. It's pretty unlikely we're going to cast it. Oh, this hand is big trap. I'm probably going to mulligan this hand. It has a lot of the cards we want in the matchup. But we don't have force and we don't have multiple lands. It's just not a keep versus shops. R. Stiltskin says, P.O.'s my favorite deck, but the Ragavan Walker deck was cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm never gonna play it ever again. I'm just sitting here waiting for the Ragavans to go back up to 110 so I can sell them again for not lose any money. I didn't net lose money on Ragavan because I bought so low, but all right, my opponent mulled to 6. I will also mull to 6. This hand has much more mana. I'm definitely willing to keep this hand. We'll obviously bottom this Dead Citadel, but we have a bunch of basics in good shape. So, Mana Crypt, it's a good start from our opponent. See how much disruption they have. Not a great land to start with. Revoker, not a huge issue either. I don't think you want to skip the Citadel because you have a Demonic Tutor. You can find whatever you want. Doesn't look like my opponent's going to have a Sphere, so if I hit a Moxen, we're in good shape here. Didn't hit a Moxen. Well, my Academy currently taps for 0 mana, so I don't know about that exactly. I was definitely hoping to hit a Moxen, obviously. It's kind of normal, but see what my opponent does. Seems like they don't have a Sphere because they played Revoker on turn 1. This looks like a Stone Coil. Okay, this is not a draw you can actually keep versus PO. If you're learning shops from chat, you should not be keeping hands that have no interaction against PO. That's just not a very good plan. Maybe I should have gotten an Underground Sea off of that one. I think I'm just going to Demonic for Tinker. And then just Tinker a Blightsteel into play next turn. I have a Force, so there's really nothing I can lose to, I don't think. I could definitely get Ancestral here, but I think Tinker is just better. Because if I get Wastelanded, I still have Academy Tinker, and I can just force any Sphere effect, so. Yep, Wasteland on my Underground Sea is fine. They do hit me for a lot here. They don't stand up Factory, it's interesting. I don't know, you'd have to have a super fast clock. Ballista on 1. Okay, sure. Chalice on 0. I'm glad I played my Opal around that. I guess I don't care about that either. I'm just going to put a Blightsteel into play, and that should be good enough here. Currently not dying on the swing back, so as long as I force something that would kill me on the swing back, we should be fine. They have to probably block with like the stone coil or the factory or something like that. It's not unreasonable for me to lose this game if I didn't have a force. Like a Ravager would probably be annoying. And like a Fleet Wheel Cruiser on the next turn, maybe. Yeah, I should have put the top in play. I just forgot to. I did not put the top in play. I totally should have. I wasn't really thinking. Don't think there was a reason to not put the top in play. Because now it's, well, now it costs 2. So now it's kind of annoying, but yeah, I mean, that is a reason. It could get, technically could get mental misstepped. You're not wrong. I'm doing it this way so that I don't get like wastelanded into something that I need. Like I need to have 1 blue so I can counter a Ravager, but I don't want to get wastelanded, so. Yeah, actually, like, playing around mental misstep is a very corner case, right? But it also is a thing that I could theoretically lose to. So it's not unreasonable. This is an interesting block. So it's actually probably right. I didn't like actively play around it. I just didn't think about it. There's like something to be said about if I didn't think about it, was it like already ingrained in my brain as a thing that I shouldn't do, or did I, you know, like truly not notice at all? Not 100% sure there, but so my opponent has to deal 11 damage to me on this turn, which does not seem possible. If they have Strip Mine, this is pretty bad. I mean, they have 1 card in hand, so they have to have Strip Mine and a threat that kills me. I don't think it's possible, so. Yeah. It's definitely a consideration, but I don't think the combination of cards makes exists, so. Boom. 1-0. Yeah, I think opponent has to block with Stone Coil Serpent so that they can draw like Ravager plus something. Yeah, I think if my opponent draws a Ravager, sacks their board to Ravager, sacks it out. Yeah, if my opponent should not block with Walking Ballista, they should block with Stone Coil Serpent, because if they draw Ravager, they actually have lethal if I don't have Force of Will, which I do. So actually, if my opponent had exactly Ravager Strip Mine, I would lose. No, because they have to play it pre-combat, and I could just float. So that's not true. Yeah, I think Ravager Ballista is their only out, so I don't exactly know why my opponent blocked with the Walking Ballista. All right, round 2, vintage ManaTraders. We've got the young guns. The Zoomer Ringers. Got Zach first. See what Zach's got. See what Zach is up to. That hand's real bad. Real bad. I don't want that. It's super bad too. We do have a Ponder, but if Ponder misses, even if Ponder hits, I kind of think this hand is not very good, and I would rather just London mulligan and try to find a better 5. They did keep their 7 though. Yeah, that looks much better. How do I want to play this out? Do I want to just go Underground Sea, Emerald, Time Walk, Tolarian, Narset? I can slow roll it. I could just go Flooded Strand, Emerald, Hold Open Flusterstorm, and work my way towards Narset. If I hit a Moxen, then I can play Narset with Flusterstorm back up. It's a little all in to go with my first line, but I think it's probably better. Oh, I think I don't like the white cards. Like, I think I'm not a huge Teferi fan. I think that card is super clunky. I think Lavinia is super hard to cast. So I don't know. I've always thought the black cards in PO were much better than the white cards in PO. I think like Vampiric, Demonic, and the Yogwill are super good, and Yogwill also acts as like an alternate win con. So I don't know. I thought the white version of PO was interesting for the weekend that I played it, but I wasn't super happy with it. That's a terrible draw. I don't think we're winning this game for what it's worth, but maybe if this resolves, we have a chance. Didn't resolve. Murktide Regent. Interesting. I think this is like the bug control deck that the Zoomers like to try with like Uro and stuff. If I had to guess. The Zoomers have some kind of value pile that's like Uro and Murktide Regent. And, well, yeah, Force plus Ancestral. So that's a good one. No, I don't plan on streaming any Brawl tonight. Just a couple ManaTraders matches. Yeah, I'm definitely not winning this game, but I need to see a little bit more of my Zoomer opponent's deck here. See what they got going on. It's definitely unfortunate that they had Force Ancestral because we basically did not have a hand that was set up to beat that. If I had played it slow with a Flusterstorm, we might have been able to beat it. So maybe it's on me that I should have played a slower draw. I could have definitely bottomed Time Walk and just hold open Flusterstorm, but the problem is I'm like pretty unlikely to play like I at that point, like you're not really gonna just slam Narset on 3. You probably need to find another Moxen or another land to slam it on 4, and we would have been able to slam it on 3, but I'm not really sure. Definitely could have been a different game if we had played it out differently. I do think that Snap Time Walk makes sense here. If they want to counter either, that's fine. They might have Endurance and just like get me. It's kind of an interesting play, yeah. I mean, I like have no interaction. I can't do much about it, so. They certainly blanked my Snapcaster Mage with their Endurance there. It's fine. We still have like a decent PO draw. Just draw 2 and replay Snap. So, oh yeah, Endurance is much better than Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is a terrible Magic card. Endurance actually has like usefulness, whereas Tarmogoyf is just a body. Sometimes the body is what you need, but most of the time a body is not what you need in Vintage. I don't have high expectations for this game. For the match, we might still have good chances because opponent is basically like a controlling deck that doesn't have Pyroblast. So there's like a lot to like about our chances in the matchup, but there's definitely not much to like when we're on the play Mold of 5 and our opponent has Force Ancestral. You're just going to lose games of Vintage that are like that. Well, stat sticks can be relevant right now because of the prevalence of Hollowvine, Hollow 1. Hollow 1 is like the backbone of Dredge Plan B or Bizarre Plan B, so it can be pretty reasonable. Provolone, exactly. So I mean, that's the big relevant Tarmogoyf thing, is that it can block Hollow 1 most of the time. So my opponent spent a lot of mana and cast Dig, which is pretty bad for us. I still think we have outs to drawing some powerful cards, but all right, perfect. My opponent is holding open Black Lotus for negation and fluster, and I guess also endurance. Maybe we can get them to pop it and put an endurance in play. That would be perfect, but there's kind of no reason for them to. I guess it's better that they crack Lotus than not crack Lotus, so kind of just gonna do it now. I don't really have follow-up, so it's not like I'm gaining anything by making them do it on their turn. It's just a hard cast negation. Yeah, that's what I figured was going to happen. But, I mean, cracking Lotus and playing negation is not terrible for me. So, I'm not too upset with how that turned. Obviously, this card's quite good against us as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just like we've obviously been behind this entire game since turn 1, and there's really just not much we can do about it. Gonna have to look towards sideboard games. Not that we have like a super amount in our sideboard for a more controlling bug deck. Like we've already seen Murktide Region. I'm pretty sure there's like an Uro and some like more, I hate to say it, Xeroxy cards. I shouldn't have said it. I don't know why I said it. I hate that word. But 2 Murktide Regents. So like I don't think I really want to bring in Deluge too much against this deck. It doesn't really feel like they're doing the same things that I'm scared of out of like the Bug Hate Bears style deck. Maybe they are still playing like the same number of Oofs and Leovolds, and maybe we should bring in Deluge, but I think I'm just going to. So the nice part that they have about the Murktide Regent is it's could theoretically block a Sphinx. So I definitely want to leave in both Citadel and Sphinx. I think I might want Hull Breacher. Doesn't seem like they're on like a ton of Wastelands, but maybe they could still be on Wastelands. Definitely, I'm trying to get this Snapcaster out of here, this Hercules Recall out of here. It's kind of weird because they're just not really a bug deck, like a normal bug deck. I wonder if they have any posted games with it. I feel like I saw one recently. I felt like I saw one recently. I don't know where it would be. I swear I saw a posting of this deck recently, but I just can't remember where it was. Oh well. Maybe they're just running Murktides instead of Uro. Yeah, that could be true. I think I want this Echoing Truth over this Repeal. And then typically don't like Mystic Remora or Flusterstorm in this matchup very much. Maybe we can have a Needle. But if they're not Wastelanding us and they're not, I mean, they could be Okoing us. I guess we just have a Repeal instead. We try something like this. It's a little weird, but it's not my typical boarding against bug, so it's not really a typical bug deck. I don't think Deluge is going to be like super good against their configuration, but it could still be fine. Maybe it is still fine. I don't know. I just didn't. I don't know. I have to see their creature suite, and I don't know where their creature suite is, so I don't really want to board in based on a creature suite that I don't know anything about. Yeah, it could be a pretty big deal. Could be a pretty big deal for sure. Okay, so they are still on Wastelands. There are 2 Wastelands in this, which is good to know. Definitely just want to start with Island Ponder. I don't think... I guess I can work towards this Tinker if it's just Force Fluster. I can get Force and Fluster, and then on the last turn of this, I can do everything. As long as I don't crack. So they have Jet Deathrite. They actually just can't beat Tinker right now, right? Doesn't look like it. Because they don't have... Yeah, they're just dead to Tinker right now. I think I'm just gonna go Sphinx. I could go Citadel here, but I don't have a land drop to give. I think I'd rather just play Sphinx. I might try to get it on YouTube for tomorrow. I have to skip my current queue and rearrange some things, but I think that's my plan. I wonder about... I really don't feel like I can lose if I hold this Echoing Truth, but tempoing these Deathrite Shamans sounds like so much fun to me. But I don't feel like I can lose if I just hold this Echoing Truth. God, it's just so hard to lose if I bounce these two, though. It's never been like dominant just because it's not played very much. They drew a blue land, so they can actually... They couldn't actually recast their Deathrite unless they drew a green land there. All right, now that I have 3 islands for Hull Breacher is pretty good. It did win the last challenge, or last Saturday challenge, so it's definitely a deck to be on the lookout for. 3 Wastelands versus 3 islands, and this is why we're playing 4 islands in our deck. All right, so they are just kind of normal bug then, even though they might have like some technology that makes them different. So it does look like we'll bring in Toxic Deluge in game 3. All right. So that went really well, mostly because of the way we configured our mana base, which is always a nice thing to see. I definitely think I'm going to bring in this Deluge now. I'm just going to take out this Narset. I really hate Narset against Bug. It's just not very good. I think I like the rest of this configuration. We could bring in Needles, but like we don't really care much about Wasteland anymore. So we don't really need Needles. What is the dress down for? Collector. Oof. Yeah, I mean, I think Basic Island is quite good. It's one of the reasons why I'm trying to build mana bases like this right now, because there's just so much Wasteland running around. Just so much Wasteland. I like how we're set up. Let's do it again. I almost wanted to play like 1 Underground Sea in this deck, but having 2 Underground Seas is really nice for hard casting Citadels, which does come up from time to time. This hand's like a little sus, but it's perfectly reasonable, so... There are definitely some issues with this hand, but overall, I would be happy to keep it most of the time versus Bug. Always a Mox in a hand for our Bug opponents. Okay.
Thanks for the vintage content when ManaTraders comes around.
Yeah, no worries. Hope it's useful. Tinker. I don't even have to tutor for it. Let's see what my opponent's got going on here. Force, Fluster, Preordain. Noted. All right, so we're gonna try to take this game slow and value oriented. My opponent's gonna have 2 unknowns in addition with this Force Fluster, and they're most likely gonna be able to hold up Force and Fluster. Top, bottom. Hull Breacher, interesting. I think what I'm gonna do is hold open, go for like an end of step mystical, which they won't really be able to counter, get an ancestral recall or a fluster, and then also play a Hull Breacher. Could also merchant scroll for one of those kind of things right now. But I don't think that's necessary. Like, they can't actually use their Deathrite Shaman, so they're not really making progress. If they like cast another Preordain, we can Hull Breacher. Looks like they're not even making progress on mana. So let's do the... I'm not going to get an Underground Sea. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I think I will just ignore the fact that I have a Vampiric Tutor. And I'm just going to cast Mystical Tutor and let's see what they do. All right, I'm just going to grab the Ancestral. I'm also going to see if they're willing to counter this Hull Breacher. They have Assassin's Trophy for my island. Oh, they have hard cast days. It's kind of annoying. So they still have active Flusterstorm and probably active Force of Will. I'm just gonna start by casting this Ancestral and see if they force it. They can't fluster this. I mean, they can fluster this. Okay, so force pitching fluster. That makes me think they don't have a second fluster, but what else would they draw that they wouldn't play? Oh, do they have a second Flusterstorm? It's really bad for us if they have a second Fluster. I guess I could merchant for my own. Getting my own Fluster doesn't really do anything. They didn't draw lands. They could have drawn creatures and chose not to cast them to hold everything up. I don't have a dig in my deck. Might be something to consider. So it's, did they draw another Fluster? They're out of action that we know about, but they could have drawn another Flusterstorm. The problem is the things that I can merchant scroll for are just not very good, right? I can merchant scroll for Brainstorm, PO, Force, Repeal. And if I lose my Soul Ring, I don't really have PO plays. I can like merchant scroll for a Force. That way I have Force backup, but Force doesn't actually protect me against Flusterstorm, so I don't really know if it's actually good. I'll make them have it. Yeah, they have it. Okay, so they drew a Fluster. Nope, that's green mana. Veil of Summer. Interesting. Okay. If they're drawn to Force or Daze. Didn't hit it. I think it's... I guess they could... They could have Vigor. They could have Vigor. I kind of want to get Citadel in this spot, though. I don't want to get... I'm going to get Citadel in this spot. I think it's better than getting Sphinx. Maybe it's not because I have Merchant for Force. They could probably play Murktide as well. I think I'm just going to get Citadel here. Yeah. That should be good enough. Yeah. That was interesting. Those were definitely interesting games. I'm not 100% sure what I was going to do here. And I kind of regret casting Yagwil. I think I would have rather drawn through it with top. But what I can do here is like vamp for Time Walk. I think what I actually wanted to do here was Yogwill, draw Yogwill with top, draw through this thing. Eventually I can vamp for a Time Walk, cast Time Walk, and then we can Yogwill back Time Walk and all of our stuff. And that's probably going to win the game eventually. Zach didn't really want to sit through it, which is fair. I'm pretty happy to climb out of like a basically forfeited game one because our hand just wasn't good enough. So I'm definitely down to take that 2-0, and then not an easy player to play against either. So strong win there. Round 3, ManaTraders Vintage. Another ringer. We got I Draft the Beats, Notable, Doomsday, and Combo Aficionado. It's a weird hand. Yeah, they do play Bug too. So I could go vamp for Tolarian, probe into Tolarian, Ancestral. I could go vamp for Lotus, probe into Lotus, repeal Ancestral, Mystical. Man, there's a lot of ways I can play this, but they all are pretty bad if we get countered, I think. It's Ben. It's he. No worries. I'm kind of down. Let's try it. Let's try it. I don't know what I'm getting off this. I think it's Tolarian, though. It's like the least powerful. Like, I can get Lotus. I could get Lotus. Now, I want to get Tolarian, just in case something doesn't work out here. All right. So they kept a turn 1 Leovold hand, it looks like. I'm just going to cast Ancestral Recall. So I'm going to play out Opal because if they Vigor, I have more mana to do things on my upkeep next turn. But I do have Dress Down to beat Leovold. I also have Tinker Bolus's Citadel, but they do have an Oko. That gets a little weird. Tropical, Lotus. Well, they can't cast Leovold because they need 3 different colors of mana. So are they going to cast Tarmogoyf Assassin's Trophy on my Academy? They draw a Narset? Oh, they're just going to cast Oko and turn my Jet off? It's not bad for me. I have a repeal. Sure. I mean, opponent has a good hand, but not really against what we're doing. They could have drawn Force is the only thing they can really have drawn. I don't really think we want to Mystical Tutor right now. Don't think that makes sense. All right, so the first thing we do is attack this Oko. I think what I'm gonna do is Island, repeal my Jet, replay my Jet, replay my Soul Ring, Mystical, and then Dress Down, and then cast. I don't know if I have enough for Tinker after that. That's what I want to try to do, I think. Repeal my Jet. Draw Misstep. That'd be kind of annoying. I drew another land, was not great. Really was looking for another Moxen. So right now I have 6 mana, so I should have enough. But Tinkering a Citadel with no land drops is not great. So what about Mystical for... I don't know. What else can I Mystical for? Maybe we're just supposed to. Maybe I should just wait and then go for Tinker next turn when they have Assassin's Trophy up. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna wait. I don't really like the idea of tinkering with no land drops into Oko. You want to tinker with no land drops into Oko right here? I only have... I don't know about that, P9. It's certainly a choice I could make. Did they draw Force of Vigor? Is that what they're thinking about right now? No, no main deck Sphinx. It is a choice we could play, though. If they Vigor us, we might, like, we could Mystical for Fluster. It doesn't really get worse because they don't have a land drop. Well, they could have a land drop, but we don't have a land drop we know about. And I can just get Pio. All right, well, they didn't hit a land drop. I'm just going to Mystical for Tinker, and then we have infinite mana to pay for a Fluster, so they have to have drawn Force. I guess we could also just go for Yogg-Will is also reasonable. I think we just get Tinker, though. Maybe I should have floated. I don't really like floating there. Oh, they drew negation. That would have been a good reason to float. I guess I can draw into Fluster. It's kind of awkward for us that they drew into negation there. The one unknown card, right? Or no? Yeah, the one unknown card. All right, well, we've hit all lands. We've drawn 3 lands in this game, which is not good. I mean, we definitely could have gone for the Tinker last turn, but they were kind of stopping like they had it last turn, so they might have had it last turn as well. We don't even have great POs anymore. Oh, they drew Wasteland as well? Well, our opponent has drawn some interesting ones. For not having drawn spells. I was 1 away! I was 1 away. It's pretty surprising that our opponent is in this game after we saw their hand with Cataxian Probe. But I guess drawing Wasteland Force is pretty reasonable. So they can't play their spells. Now they can play their spells. So now they can play Assassin's Trophy, which is annoying. And they can play Tarmogoyf. I mean, I've just drawn all lands in this game, so it's pretty unfortunate. I'm definitely not attacking into this food because I want to be able to return this Soul Ring with PO if I draw it. Like, we obviously have drawn pretty abysmally. How many? We've drawn what? 1 card? That's not a land. 2 cards maybe. I don't know. I like the way we played most of this game. I mean, I don't think it's terrible to go for the Tinker the turn earlier, but it just doesn't seem like it's very good. All right, I drew Dress Down. That turns off the Goy for a turn, which is not exactly a strong play by any means. I guess I can actually attack the Oko and see if they blocks. That'd be pretty funny. But I don't know. No block. He's too smart. I'm probably just going to Fog with the Dress Down anyways. I think I'm supposed to hold the rest of this for a Brainstorm. Yeah, this game went really unfortunately, but I think it was more being unlucky than misplaying. I really don't think tinkering a Citadel with no land drop to give against an active Oko is what I wanted to do. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I like how we played the Ancestral Vamp, all that stuff. I thought that was fine. Though we could have chosen not to go Tolarian. We could have chosen Black Lotus, but yeah. Eh. Oh well. How do you do? Make me by the hand. We don't have like that many draw spells in our deck. Like we do have a lot of air, but I mean we could have drawn Pio at any point as well. My opponent has drawn another land. Oh, this is lethal. No, it's not lethal. They're too short. All right, let's stress down this dark Tarmogoyf here. Nice 0-1. All right, well, I mean, I have counter magic if I draw something that does something. I do need to draw something that does something, though. It's gonna be pretty hard. Of course, of course. I mean, we're not dead, so I'm not gonna concede yet. I still have an answer to all of their stuff. And I can jump down to... I guess I can't jump down to 1 because if I cast... No, yeah, if I have to cast Fluster and Force, I can't. Yeah, never mind. I actually can't because I have to force this. And then to crack, I have to crack for a Fluster. Yeah, I will just die. I'm actually 1 short because of Fetch Land. Of living for 1 more turn. That's really sad. It's just we just drew too many lands. Wow. All right, we weren't winning this game. Noted. Noted. All right. All right, so I'm gonna bring in my Sphinx, my Deluge. I don't really want my Hull Breachers. Echoing Truth. Maybe Needle. I don't really care. Normally I like to bring a Needle because of Wasteland, but I don't really care about Wasteland anymore. I really hate Fluster in this matchup. I don't really typically like Narset in this matchup. Hercule is obviously dead draw. I don't really like Remora in this matchup. So maybe I can bring in a Needle or a Hole Breacher. Needle on Oko or something. This looks fine. I just have like a lot more anti-blue tech than normal, and not anti-blue as in bug, but as in like combo and Jeskai and Rug and that kind of thing. Do this. Yeah, I think that like this deck is pretty different from the last bug deck we played against. You're not going to see Murktide Regents or anything like that. You will probably see a Brazen Bar as an answer to Sphinx because Ben is a respectable bug player who understands that you should have an out to Sphinx of the Steel Wind in your deck. Though obviously Zach had an out to Six of the Steel Wind, which was a larger Murktide Regent, which that's also fine. So it's definitely a bit more spicier. Take a look at my opponent's hand again, which is basically cheating. All right, they do have Force of Vigor and Ancestral Recall, which does make my life fairly challenging. They also have Wasteland, but we have a million islands in our deck, so that's not a huge issue. Definitely not going to play out both Sapphires because I don't really want to run into Force of Vigor and have to like pitch my PO. I'd much rather find like another blue card that I can pitch to Force. Though obviously this Ancestral Recall could be problematic. Verdant, Deathrite, yep. I'd like to be able to like respond to a Force with a PO or something like that. Or if I can just crush them right here, that would be fine. I didn't find a blue card, unfortunately. I'm gonna take this Academy, and then we're gonna fetch away the other two. That was a really, really bad top. Like an extremely unfortunate top. Because if we found any blue card, I would be interested in like fetching and POing with, you know, for 3+ top, and then forcing the Vigor. And just hoping they didn't draw a Force off their draw step. But obviously we just didn't find a blue card, which is going to make things pretty difficult. The nice thing is I can still play out my Sapphire after I play my land and pass, because if they try to Vigor me, I can PO. But obviously if they find a Force of Will alongside that, or a Force of Negation alongside that, I will lose on the spot. But you have to, like, when you know their hand and you know they have one unknown, it's like you have to play to the odds. Drawing this Academy, which we can't actually play because they have a Wasteland. Fetching this island. So they could have actually Vigored right there while I was fetching, because then it's kind of hard to draw with my top. But so yeah, if they Vigor here, I'm definitely going to go for it. If they don't Vigor here, then we have to think about it a little bit more, because we don't really want to like play our PO and then have them cast Ancestral. But I probably will PO at end of turn no matter what. I just won't activate the top very likely. Brainstorm. That's kind of interesting. So they're not tapped out. They can still Ancestral in response to this, but it means they have 2 unknowns, less blue cards. I kind of actually think now is a pretty good time to PO. I'm not going to activate this top. That doesn't seem like a very strong play. I could also draw into this top into a blue card if I really wanted to. I don't think there'd be too many choices that I would really want to do that. So I'm also casting Ancestral, just bringing all my artifacts back to my hand. All right, so they did draw they did draw both blue card and Force of Will. Do I want to blind draw with my top? No, they have 2 Deathrite Shamans. I think. Doesn't actually tell me unless I write it down. Pretty sure they had 2 Death Ray Shamans, but I could be wrong. I kind of remember clicking one. Oh, there's some onus of me to try to draw a blue card here, because if I get Vigored in my upkeep, I don't actually have protection, which I still don't have protection. I could have PO, so it's a little hard for them to Vigor in my upkeep, because they could easily get blown out by another PO. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. I think we're pretty much dead here. Unfortunately, like, the things that we tried to do just didn't line up. I do think that we were in pretty good shape if we had spun with our top on turn 1 and saw a blue card. But we didn't see a blue card, so pretty much lost on the spot there. Yeah, I think mostly the things that have happened in this match have been pretty unfortunate. We'll see if they upkeep Vigor. You have to have pretty big balls to upkeep Vigor here into open PO mana, but they did see us draw with our top, so. And they did. I'm gonna act like I have PO and be ragey and salty. Just kidding, I don't actually have PO. You got me. I mean, it's pretty reasonable inference that I tried to draw into a blue card for Force of Will, so. And if I had a PO, I would just let the force happen, then in my upkeep, I can still PO again. So it's like pretty reasonable for them to make the play that they did. So what do we have going for us? We've got a top and a fetch and an island. So they pitched the Death Ray Shaman. So yep, we can try to find Tinker. What we can do. It's kind of what we have left. We have 6 looks for a powerful card, so lots of chances. All right, well, time to look 6 times now. They didn't actually. Did they actually shuffle off of Brainstorm? Yeah, they say they have this Misty. They did shuffle, so they probably got rid of this Wasteland, but we don't know for sure. But it's pretty likely they got rid of Wasteland. They're not even scared of Academy anymore anyways, because we lost 2 of our Moxen. And I mean, we took Academy because it was the best of the 3 lands we were given. I don't know what we're tanking over here. Maybe like Assassin's Trophy or something. That would be kind of weird, because then we still get to look at our top 3, rearrange them, and fetch and like look for new ones. So they don't have to have this waste, right? They cast Brainstorm and Misty Rainforest. All right, well, I definitely don't want any of these Magic the Gathering cards. I can tell you that much. Not a chance in the world. All right, I'm going to crack this, get another island, and spin again. And once again, we're looking for Tinker. And just Tinker. I guess we could draw Ancestral. Ancestral is a card that technically leads us somewhere. But we're mostly looking for Tinker, as is the usual with PO. All right. It's time to fetch again. Anytime now, Ben. Island. Spin, 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 spin. Please. I'll thank you. I'm not entertaining enough for this kind of downtime. You can't do this to me. All right, play magic, play magic. Spin. All right, we found a dress down, which technically will turn off collector roof at some point, but it doesn't really sound great to me. But I mean, that is where we're at. I don't think it's going to take them 12 minutes to kill us. We're at 16 and there's 4 power in play. 4 power in play. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to get through this because we did not really spin into value. But we can end of turn, dress down, drawing into fluster, and then spinning on our turn, spinning on their turn, and spinning on our turn, and we get a couple more looks. So, let's see if they kept this wasteland. Demonic tutor. So the problem. I'll just do it. I think I want to just flusterstorm this. Also, if this resolves, they can't activate this Deathray Shaman, which is pretty funny. This card does a lot of weird things. Yeah, they're gonna float a mana first. Fair. All right, what I'm doing, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm gonna draw into the Flusterstorm, and then I'm gonna Flusterstorm the Demonic Tutor, and then I'm also gonna spin and see. We've already gotten rid of 2 cards, so we can get the Underground Sea 3 deep, and we can try to find something else. Blue, green. Their own Fluster. So that doesn't really. Oh, because they can pay for one of theirs with their floating mana. Ah, so this counters this. This counters this. This counters that. Oh, they fucked up though. Or did they fuck up? So this counters that. That counters that. That counters that. That counters that. This counters. So nothing is countering this. So they have to pay for that. But if they put 2 on that. Okay, they put 2 on each. So I can't pay for any. And then they pay for 1. Okay. That's fine. Because I can at least spin, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. They are resolving Demonic Tutor, but they're not doing anything with their Demonic Tutor this turn, which means if we spin and find a Tinker, maybe we win. That'd be interesting. If we actually won this game, that'd be pretty crazy. I'm definitely gonna spin after. All right, so you paying? Yeah, all right, so they're resolving Demonic Tutor. Fair. I will spin when this dress down trigger goes on the stack. In case something were to happen here. Can't imagine what would happen here. Black Lotus. Something. All right, we know that our top card is Underground Sea. We know that we have two things to look for. Two things we can look. I mean, we can also draw if we really wanted to. So maybe we could have like drawn and forced the Demonic Tutor, but that doesn't really seem like a strong play. All right, so I'm gonna spin my top. What do we got? Are we whitelisted, or did they demonic for force, chat? We can actually beat Daze if they demonicked for force of will, which is probably reasonably smart, seeing as the only way we can win this game is Tinker. I mean, we played perfectly to our outs, okay? You gotta play to your outs, and we did. Now we get to find out how lucky we are. Because we don't have another blue card for force, unfortunately. Because I flustered the demonic. I think I was supposed to fluster the demonic, but maybe I could have held the fluster. Boom! Did you have a force? Ah, he tutored for force. It's too good. All right, now we're dead. This is why it's Eternal Weekend top 8 competitor. Smart DT. I tried my best. It was a good play. Nice, Matt. I'm going to be about 2-1 after this. Not much I can do, though. I'm actually just dead on board because I know that my next draw is a land again, right? Unfortunate. I'm really happy with how we played that, and we played perfectly to our outs against a worse bug opponent. Maybe we win there, but it definitely looks like our opponent successfully demonic tutored for force of will, as it was the only way we were going to get out of this alive. Is Tinker. So good play by Ben, and woe to me. I guess I theoretically could have not flusterstormed the dig through if I had not flusterstormed, then they would have had flusterstorm for my Tinker, so that doesn't really work. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm dead here, and I knew I was dead. Very unfortunate, but we played pretty well, and we got to do the things that we wanted to do, or, you know, we played to the out, and we found the out, and the out was not good enough, which is, you know, just sometimes how Magic works. All right. Dope. We found our opponent. They do exist, and we are going to play our fourth match of Vintage ManaTraders against MTG Beer Spunts. Let's begin. Yeah, I mean, this hand looks fine. Got some Moxen, got some power. See what happens. All you had to do is threaten the queue that you're going to leave, and then boom. All right, so it looks like bug. Looks like bug. Tastes like bug. Is it bug? Certainly is. Time walk. The classic, every bug has a Mox in hand into Collector Roof. And this is why we're playing 4 Dress Down. It's kind of crazy how often bug has Mox oof with only 3 Moxen. I feel like it happens every game. I guess it didn't happen against our... Oh, come on! I play 4 islands and my opponent just destroys me. Well, if I brainstorm here and get locked, I lose. But I feel like I'm supposed to anyways. I guess I could have waited, but whatever. Alright, we're dead. I'm not really happy that we played this game. It's kind of fucked up that we got strip mined on our basic island. But I gotta do, I guess. Alright, so another bug player. Sphinx, Echoing Truth, Toxic Deluge, Needle, Urkels, Narset, Fluster, Remora. Yeah, I mean, that it does sometimes happen like that. It would have been pretty bad even if they had a no collector roof, but the short mine was obviously fucking atrocious for us. It's really, really sad when we play 4 basic islands and still get wastelanded. But that's vintage. Whatever. I mean, I would always keep that hand on the draw, and I'm pretty sure I was always going to be brainstorming there, because if I like missed out, I could shuffle with Mystical Tutor and get an Ancestral or something. Most of the time, an island is going to be good enough to keep you, functioning through a collector roof, but obviously strip mine exists, and sometimes they draw the strip mine. We do get to like play a pretty reasonable game there if we find a fetch land, but we kind of have to find exactly a fetch land, so obviously there's some risk there. All right, on the play, we've got 2 basic islands. We can't get strip mined out of this game. Definitely looking at a keep here. I'm gonna just go for Island Pearl Ancestral, especially with having Snapcaster Ancestral. Pretty reasonable play. I wonder if we really want like a dig through time in this deck to have another strong merchant scroll target, but dig through time is so awkward in this deck, especially with this deck having no preordains. Probably don't want it. Maybe what about like a thirst for knowledge? Something that's not ancestral that draws cards is an instant and is blue. I guess we could do a fact for fiction, but then you're probably just getting a PO if you have 4 mana at that point. So another hand where my bug player starts out with one of their 4 Moxen. See what they do, I guess. Kind of think like a Thirst for Knowledge could be interesting as an additional scroll target. Technically, Brain Freeze would be a scroll target if we put the Brain Freeze in. Do they just have Black Lotus Ancestral? Sure, why not? Oh boy. Top, you say? Collector Roof, I assume? Emerald Collector Roof? Emerald Narset? I'm just thinking of all the ways this is going to go. It's just so bad for me. But there's a lot of ways. There is certainly a lot of ways. All right, Deathray Shaman resolves. All right, lost a floating mana. So we beat Flusterstorm if we just cast Ancestral. We do, of course, lose to the 1 of negation, or maybe 2 of negation. But if we wait, they can still hard cast negation, so it doesn't actually get better for us. I think just casting Ancestral while we can pay for Fluster is better. They just have Mental Misstep. Of course they have Mental Misstep. Why wouldn't I think of that? Fluster my Ponder? Ah, I found Mental Misstep, chat. I don't think I want any of these. Guess I should have pondered first and not played around Flusterstorm, which is correct. Unlucky, really. It'll be another hard game, that's for sure. I really don't feel that Bug versus PO is that bad, but these games in particular have been something. They've definitely been something. Okay. I assume this means Leovold's coming, and then I can no longer cast Snap Ancestral, Brainstorm, or PO. Of course. Why not? That just makes sense. I am not having a good time. I am not having a good time. I mean, I don't think bug is a huge issue, but if every opponent is like Ancestral, Black Lotus, Mental Misstep, Strip Mine in every game, yeah, I'm gonna lose a lot of games. Oh well. Uh, what can we even draw here? I guess Dress Down is our out. Dress Down into Snap Ancestral, maybe? I could Snap Ancestral right now and draw one card, right? I don't really want to do that. I mean, we can draw Tinker, I guess. Tinker into Sphinx. And hope they have no force. They've not had to use a force yet because they had Mental Misstep for our Ancestral Recall. So yeah. What do you need to get a blue out of my yard for? All right. So the only reason they must have Fluster as well. Yeah. All right. Whatever. Okay. Cool. You got me. Good job. Found the Dress Down. Maybe they'll let the Dress Down resolve and the Ancestral resolve, and everything will be good. That'd be fun. Wasteland. Yeah, of course. Of course. There's no point, because I want to cast this Dress Down on end step. I wanted to go Dress Down, Brainstorm, end of turn, you know, put away a card kind of thing, but yeah. Now I can't even Snap Ancestral unless I draw a land, right? I mean, this also has to resolve, which seems like they might just not let it resolve, right? They do have 3 open mana. Though the nice part about this is it can't be flustered, which is pretty sweet. It's like the only removal spell you can play that can't be flustered. You could play like some kind of weird enchantment, other like enchantment removals, like Deadweight or something, but yeah, I guess Deathrite Shaman also stops it. No, they activated their Deathrite first. Oh, smart play by our opponent. We have other lines though. I mean, I think they like are representing Flusterstorm hard because of the way they played their Treasure Cruise turn, but I'm taking my shots. I'm not going to pick up this Dress Down so that I can continue drawing cards after this, but this is my shot. This is dope. Dress Down is so good. Dress Down letting me PO this turn is like actually wild, but it was just not good enough to beat my opponent's double Ancestral draw. I mean, Dress Down again, overperforming, so again overperforming. So at least the one thing that we're testing did go well. Unfortunately, Dress Down is not as good as Yeah, all right, whatever. Okay, we're done here. We're done here. Done here. All right. If there was ever a signal to stop streaming, that would be it, because you actually probably can't have a better bug hand. So, what did we learn from our first 4 matches? Dress down, pretty dope. It actually did a lot of things in a lot of interesting spots, and it felt really good. I'm gonna definitely test it some more. Didn't really have any problems with our ability to kill with our light win conditions. There still might be some room to put in 1 brain freeze if we start seeing like a bunch of Doomsday, because it's pretty decent against Doomsday to have a main deck brain freeze. But overall, I'm gonna definitely keep trying out this deck. I think the 4 islands was very, very good. Obviously, it's unfortunate to get strip mined, but most of the time you're not gonna get strip mined. They're gonna strand a bunch of wastelands like we did against Zach in round 2. So a decent start. I mean, obviously we don't want to go 2-2. Definitely should be looking for a stronger record than that. But given the cards that we were dealt, 2-2 seems perfectly reasonable. And I'm definitely happy to continue playing this at a different time.